Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Bangladesh in Crisis, the series in which we look in depth at the situation in Bangladesh. On tonight's programme, we're talking about poverty and we'll be asking an expert panel of guests how the political situation is affecting the country's poor. Joining me in the studio to discuss this, we have Dr. Husna Ahmed, who's the former CEO of the Faith Regen Foundation, a charity that works in the employment sector. Dr. Ahmed is now the managing director at Green Pearl Consulting. Also in the studio tonight is Sultan Ahmed, the fundraising manager at Muslim Aid. Mr. Ahmed's charity has had a field office in Bangladesh for over 20 years and works across 64 of the country's districts. Welcome to you both and thank you for joining us. Before we begin our discussion, here's the latest news.
In a much welcomed move, early this morning, the US Labour Department made a pledge of $1.6 million to help improve the enforcement of fire and safety standards and protection for workers. The grants come amid concerns over safety standards in Bangladesh's garment factories, one of the biggest employers in the country. 7 inspectors accused of negligence for renewing licenses of garment factories without adequate checks have been suspended. This comes 2 months after the collapse of a factory in Bangladesh. New inspections have revealed that 6 out of every 10 factories in the country are unsafe. In other news, Bangladesh's main opposition party, the BNP, reiterated their demands for elections under a neutral caretaker government. The party staged a rally despite the government opposing a ban on all political gatherings for 1 month. Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has completely ruled this out. She has called the system of caretaker governance undemocratic. This comes after the announcement of an interim government starting in October. In light of continual protests, the Bangladeshi Parliament have amended anti-terror laws in order to crack down on those that they suspect. Redefining terrorism, the amended laws allow courts to accept internet materials as evidence. The International Federation for Human Rights and its member organisation in Bangladesh, the Odhikar, have said they are deeply concerned. Yasmin Khatoon, reporting for Islam Channel, Bangladesh in Crisis.
Well, we saw there some major developments occurring in Bangladesh this week, including the BNP's first rally since the ban was imposed in Bangladesh. Dr. Ahmed, if I can come to you first, what are your thoughts on this?
I think, as a Bangladeshi myself, ethnically I'm from Bangladesh, I feel very sad to see the country in crisis because, particularly in terms of the way it was emerging economically. It's among the 11 emerging nations. It's while the stock markets in the West were, crashing and having all these problems, it was one of the strongest stock markets in terms of investments. Countries like UAE, Saudi Arabia, Japan, the US, they were all looking to invest in, gas, oil. Samsung wanted to have a hub, in Bangladesh. I don't know what's going to happen about all of these things because when people see political unrest in a country, they get nervous, and so that's for me. It's very upsetting. It's a nation which has a population of about 160 million, with the World Bank saying that it's got the largest, the capital city, Dhaka, has the largest population in the world, growing population of about 100,000 per day. So, it's quite
disturbing.
Sad to see it. It's very disturbing.
In that way. Sultan, if I can come to you now, as Dr. Ahmed there said, it was emerging, it was going so well. The charity sector, how's that being affected by everything that's going on?
Well, let's not forget that Bangladesh has got a very, very rich amount of resources. If you talk about human resources, the cultural resources, If you throw a seed anywhere in Bangladesh, it will thrive and it will grow and you will have fruit, etc., etc. So in terms of a nation that's developing, Bangladesh definitely has the potential to be one of the strongest economies in the world. However, because of the lack of leadership at the moment, or because of the weak leadership, like many other developing countries, we're seeing a very, very sad situation where there is a struggle in Bangladesh because of the political situation. And yes, that ultimately has an effect on people who need the support the most. The infrastructure in Bangladesh currently isn't the strongest in the world. We have
There's human resources that you're talking about, the manpower that you're talking about.
Yeah.
We've just heard 6 out of 10 of these factories in Bangladesh are unsafe. So we're actually putting all of our manpower at risk, aren't we?
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is, if there was a strong leadership, a strong infrastructure where we could monitor these and we could enforce laws and enforce the working conditions and improve the working conditions, we could have actually taken the capacity of Bangladesh to a much stronger level. And the people of Bangladesh, Muslim Aid has over 97 offices in Bangladesh alone. We've got over 1,000 employees working for us, and this is just to help support the local people who need the most. We create jobs there for them. We've got hospitals to help treat the injured and for absolutely free. So we're trying our best to eradicate poverty there, and we can only do that if the government also steps up and provides the essential infrastructure and facilities that the country needs right now, and especially this terrible time where a lot of unrest and a lot of, shall I say, unhappiness with the way the country is being run at the moment. It's a really sad state.
Dr. Ahmed, has the government done anything good in these? I mean, you're saying that...
I think, to be honest, the government has been doing well in terms of economics, because it's been facilitating the business communities to thrive and increase
but could it be that because of the whole political situation, it's taken the eye off the ball now, and perhaps... That's
what I was going to come to. For instance, Bangladesh is doing better than Pakistan. Last year it was $24.3 billion just in exports, so it's doing better than Pakistan. In terms of poverty, it's been reduced to 40%, which is a positive, even though 40% is still not good enough.
Number, yeah.
I think what's happened is that in terms of leadership, it's been strong in terms of trying to develop the country, but I think perhaps what's happened is personal issues have come in terms of the War of Independence, and all of those have tarnished everything and made, I don't know, I feel as if the government's just lost the plot. It just seems to have lost the plot, and I'm glad that the BNP went on that march, because to see a form of dictatorship, where all the parties apart from Army League is in control, no one else has a voice. I think that's dangerous. So I think it's good to have BNP and Army League talking together, and we need others to just talk some sense into the government and make them understand, what are you doing to the nation? You're just going to destroy the nation if you continue on this path.
Okay, well, as we've just heard, poverty is not a new issue for Bangladesh. Poor infrastructure, political instability and insufficient power supplies all contribute to this ongoing problem, as Yasmin Khatun now reports.
Upon gaining independence in 1971, Bangladesh has increased its per capita income by more than 130%. Between 2000 and 2010, the number of poor in Bangladesh declined by 15 million, fourfold higher than in previous decades. Although poverty has been cut, at least 45% of the 160 million strong population still live below the poverty line.
আমি মনে করেন ভিক্ষা করে দৈনিক 100 টাকা পাই, এই আমার বরিশাল পাঠাই, আমি রাতে এই ঘাটে ঘুমাই, এই আমার বাবার একটু মাথা খারাপ আছে, আমার এই যে টাকা দিয়ে আমার বাবা আর মা ভাই বোনকে পড়ায়, এটা পড়ায় আর আমি মনে করেন এখানে ভিক্ষা করি।
Amidst the concerns, the Bangladeshi government are proud of the fact that over the last 17 years, the economy has been growing. The annual GDP has been rising at a rate of 6% per year, and the country is set to meet its target this year. A major factor in this continual growth is the pace of development within Bangladesh's garments industry. The industry makes up about 80% of the country's annual GDP and employs around 4 million people. International investors and the government alike have seen this as a great opportunity for development. The World Bank has said, this growing and abundant force is currently underutilised. Productivity of Bangladesh workers are at par with China in well-managed firms with 5 times lower wages. It's an interesting idea in looking at growth in industry, but with wages being driven down, and this being a major factor in the business coming in, will this be improving the lives of those in need or just those at the top?
Okay, so Sultan, if I can come to you first on this. With a growing GDP